Welcome to Koi Keepers Anonymous, the show for koi addicts, pond nerds, and anyone who said they'd stop buying fish but didn't. I'm Ty. This is Woody, Mickey, Devin, and today we are joined by a special guest, Steve Gibbins. And you guys all just got back from the All Japan Koi Show.
Yes, we did.
Did.
Super excited because Devin was a judge. It's your third time this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be press and cover it for my good friend Steve.
Great job you did. Thank you very much.
I was waiting for that validation right there. But Steve is the best person to be on this show about the All Japan show because he's the oldest person here who's been there the most. He's been there so often. They're like, I think we should give him a job, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, was that last year they approached you about that?
This year was the third year, but the first time we did it as a kind of test run. So it's the second year doing it properly, yeah.
How did that all come about?
I was at the ZNA show a couple of years ago down in Okayama, and the vice chairman of the Shinkokai asked me, Yoshida-san, we were just talking, how do you fancy doing a live stream at the All Japan of the Grand Champion? Like, yeah, that sounds interesting. You know, let's show people what really happens.
Get the information as it's happening.
Yeah, which is great because actually, like, even the Grand Champion owners now, because obviously they can't be in the judging, so they're watching it from outside, and they said, like, it's great because we can see whether our fish is winning or not.
Or if they get nominated even, too.
It's quite a big departure, too, from previously how, like, during the judging of the Grand Champion and the results were, like, kept so
super
secret until it was, like, officially announced. And now it's, like, being announced as it happens. So that's...
Yeah, like literally for 20 years, we've had to hand our phones in. Like when we get a press pass in the morning, we have to give them the phone so that we can't tell anybody throughout the day.
When did that change happen?
That's changed when they decided to do the live stream, because obviously now everyone can post it. It's because the information's known. So
My favorite thing is that it's always seemed like a race for everybody who's there taking video and doing everything to see who can post it the quickest, who can get the photos up online, who can get their YouTube video posted first. And now nobody is going to beat Steve.
Yes.
So did you guys catch the live stream?
We did.
Yeah. You know what? We actually had a little watch party. We watched it together.
That's
so we
fun.
got a Zoom call going, and we all put it up. And yeah, Woody and I we watched it with a friend. She was, I think, the second best commentary to Steve.
Do you know anything about this, Steve?
No.
Did you see the comments on the live stream?
Few of them, they were the guys that, like, the production crew were trying to show me them at like certain points.
I heard you acknowledge a couple of comments earlier, but I think by the time she started going, you were kind of focused on other stuff. But she was trying to get your camera person to point down at the fish more because they were following you, and we had a lot of footage of your backside.
I know the person you're talking about. I did see those comments. It's like, hey, I'm watching this for fish, not people.
That's the one. Yeah. Well, there was also a lot of walking around too. So then I was thinking, like, how quickly you would only be getting a quick glimpse of each vat passing by. So there's not really much you can do there.
They're trying not to get in the way of everybody doing the judging, and they've got, like, cameras and cables and stuff running everywhere. So it gets kind of chaotic.
But what I'm trying to do at that point when we walk around behind the judges is try and give people a feeling for what the judges are going through, because obviously they've only got a limited time to look at each fish, and what you should be seeing on the camera is giving you a kind of real-time experience of what the judges are experiencing and how quick they have to make a decision.
Yeah, it's kind of from the perspective of being, like, in the judges' shoes, and when we're initially going around and walking through and doing, like, the nominations, that is, like, super overwhelming because you're literally just kind of walking through, and if something catches your eye, you got to quick then write down that fish's number and tank number. And then keep in mind when you see another fish, like, oh, is this better than that one I just saw? Because you're only really allowed to nominate one.
So actually, now that we're on that topic, can you tell us exactly how the whole grand champion is like decided? Because they nominated a few fish.
There was quite a few fish like that got nominated this year. I was surprised, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was surprised too. So many people voted for so many different fish.
Previous times when I've judged, I don't think there's ever been that many. The majority nominations, there was only like 3 fish that were really in contention, but there were I think up to 10 fish were nominated.
Was there any of those 10 that you thought, wait a second, that one isn't in league with the others?
Yeah, 6 of them.
Really?
There was actually 9, just to clarify, not 10. So,
okay.
So of those 9 fish, I think 3 of them only got 1 vote. 1 got 7 votes. Technically, any can be considered for grand champion. It's not limited to a specific size or variety, but realistically, it's going to be a Gosanke variety from the largest size category. So occasionally it can be the next size down if there's an outstanding fish. But when you're walking around, that would be very, very obvious.
What do you think is going on with those extra fish, those 6 fish that aren't really contending?
At the end of the day, you're a judge, you're entitled to nominate whichever fish you choose to. Ultimately, there was 19 fish people could choose from. Personally, I think there was 3 clearly outstanding fish, which is the 3 that moved forward. The others, possibly it was either of that fish nominating their own fish.
So okay, that's interesting. That's what I'm kind of wondering, if there was a little something fishy there.
Well, 1 vote won't matter.
1 vote's not going to change anything.
But if you're in the business of selling fish, you can say nominated for grand champion, my fish. Yeah.
Yeah, but do they even publish that result? Those 9 fish wouldn't be released, which ones were nominated. It'd only be the ones that actually made it into contention. Voting
information does go into the Japanese magazines. Generally, I think they only show the fish that are nominated through. But yeah, I mean, there's games that are played a little bit of, it's a business at the end of the day. So there are things that people do, but the good thing is, because of the size of the number of judges and the way the process works, all that kind of gamesmanship doesn't impact the end result. It just allows a dealer to, as it's been said, can say, oh, nominated for grand champion.
Right.
So tell us about how the grand champion is actually judged.
So the grand champion voting is the first thing that happens at the show. So all the judges have a meeting, come into the show, and that's the first round of judging they do. You got 14 teams. To be 12 teams, but they recently changed it to 14. Before, the judges groups were all the same size, but now it's some are 5, some are 7. Each judging team can have 1 foreign judge. So by making 2 extra teams, it allows 2 extra foreign judges to be able to participate in the show. The judges actually are 80. You've got the head judge, which is Professor Suga from Tokyo University. He's their head judge, so that makes it 81. So they're allowed to walk around all of the larger size vats, because obviously the grand champion's going to come from the largest size vat. And this year there was 184 of those, so it takes a while to do. They all then make their own nomination, and on the voting slip, all they write is the number of the fish, the variety of the fish. They don't put their name or anything. So kind of what we were talking about before, you could never truly find out who's voted for what. They'll go back to the front where the votes are counted. In the olden days, every judge would put their vote into a box, which I thought was quite nice, because especially for a foreign judge, you can get pictures to them putting their voting slip in, but that takes a long time. So what they do now is each group hands all their slips to their head judge, and the head judges each group go and put the slips into the box. They're then counted, and if you look at the line, you'll see all the assistants crowd round the table to stop any of the press being able to get an idea of what's happening.
It's a Japanese standoff.
For a fish to win and champion, it needs to get 41 votes, over 50% of the votes. So that is possible in the first round, but very, very rare. They have 5 vats near the front. where the judges are, to move fish forward, so it's much easier to compare the fish for the next round. For a fish to move forward, it needs to receive at least 10 votes. And if more than 5 fish receive votes, then the judges, the head judge will make a decision about which one's going to be discarded. So then the top 5 fish move forward, or in this case 3, because only 3 fish got more than 10 votes. They're carried forward by the health team and the assistants in plastic bags. And then the judges then get an opportunity to walk past those fish again and compare the side. And then again, the same process, right? All that on that voting slip, they just write the number of the tank. If no fish still gets 41% or 41 votes, then they would remove the fish with the lowest votes and do another round, potentially several times. If if there was 5 fish, they could be removing 1 each time. On this situation, it was only 2 rounds. On the second count, the Kahaku got 41 votes.
Did it get exactly 41 votes?
Exactly. Funnily enough,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So in the first round, that Kahaku got 29 votes. The other Kahaku in vat number 3 got 20, and the Sankei that moved forward 12 votes, and the rest of the votes were spread over 6 other fish. So in the second round, the Kahaku got exactly 41. The other Kahaku got 26, and the Sankei got 14.
That's not even close. Yeah, last year was very close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of an obvious champion, that fish.
So I understand that those other 2, the number 2 and number 3 fish, have some history contending also.
Yeah, so the number 2 Kahaku was grand champion 2 years ago. The fish that we're then talking about is often referred to as runner-up, which is totally wrong, because that would imply that, for example, the Kahaku would have got it because it got the next highest number of votes. But that's not how things work. So what happens is you then have a totally separate round of judging. It's done between the fish that remain in those 5 pools, because obviously they've come from a size category. But the judges start a completely new process of judging straight after Grand Champion, where they'll look at those vats again and make their own choice as to which one of those fish remaining will then be what we call reserve champion. And it can be the case that not the fish that got the second highest number of votes will then win this voting. I have seen in previous years where a fish that came 3rd or 4th in the Grand Champion voting then gets the reserve champion. And that's the reason why you would call it reserve rather than runner-up, because it is a separate round of voting. Mm-hmm. It couldn't come back last year, so the only fish that can't enter the show is last year's Grand Champion.
Right.
Which personally I disagree with. I think that's kind of a strange decision, because everyone says that Kahaku's the best koi in the world. Is it? Because last year's show wasn't allowed to come into the competition. So to my mind, you could say, well, there's a question mark there.
Interesting point. So it's almost like that Kahaku it's not really competing against the best necessarily.
But its official title is the Jumbo Division Champion.
And then the other one was Reserve Grand Champion?
Last year, yeah.
It was very improved. The condition of it from last year was a lot better. Body slightly not, but overall the condition of the koi was very, very good. Koi at the show, although they're in 18 different size categories, those categories are grouped into five groups. So you've got, in England, you have the Jumbo Division, Superior Division, Mature, Adult, etc. And this is where people start getting confused. They'll say that fish is Jumbo Champion. It's Jumbo Champion. It's Jumbo Division or Group Champion.
In the U.S., when we have like a Jumbo Champion, people are thinking, oh, that's going to be like a Chagoi or a Karashigoi or something like that, like a Muji fish. But like typically, like we think of, I would say, in the U.S. as a Jumbo Champion would be like what is called the Miya Hideo Prize and
Miya Hideo and Yoshida Hiroshi, which is effectively Grand Champion for Go Sankei and Grand Champion for non-Go Sankei. But those awards aren't actually judged; they're selected, if you like. The judges have no involvement in those. The chairman and vice chairman of the Shinkokai select those fish. biggest fish of good quality. So after the judges have done these 2 fish we've talked about, each group will be assigned 1 or 2 sizes. Then they will judge all the different 22 classifications in those sizes. So then within those 22 varieties, they will group those into 4 different bigger groups: Miyabi, Sakura, Tsubaki, and Botan. So what they have to do is find a first place and potentially second and third places, depending on how many fish have been entered into the variety combination. There's a total of like 340 or something different combinations of size and variety that are judged.
Wow, I didn't realize there were that many.
Yeah. Overall, there's like 1,800 awards given it. It's crazy.
If you were to list like in order of importance of like awards, how would that ranking go?
So obviously you have grand champion at the very top. You then have a row of like the division champions, the jumbo, mature adult, etc. That's your next level. And they're the awards. Yeah, that's what everybody wants. The next level underneath that is Kokugyo. That is as well a very, very significant award. Underneath that, you then have your 4 Miyabi, Tsubaki, Sakura, Botan awards. They're all on the same level. So they all sit together.
And they're all per class, right? Like per size class. Miyabi, size 15 bu.
Yes,
Miyabi, 20 bu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. From those 4 groups, you will also have a champion. So a Sakura champion, Tsubaki champion, Miyabi champion.
Has there ever been a Miyabi that's 15 bu? Miyabi champion that's like 15 bu?
No.
So that's where size kind of comes into play.
But I mean, for example, this year the Sakura Grand Champion, the 85 bu fish, so it beat the 90 and 95 bu. So it's generally the largest size group, but not always. So then under that level, you then have your Best in Variety Award. In the olden days, that would be the overall Best in Variety. So, for example, the Kahaku that won Grand Champion this year would have been Best in Variety Kahaku. But they changed that so that every award is a different fish, just to kind of spread the wealth, if you like. The thing that happened with the Best in Variety is the award was originally called Shubetsu Nihon Ichi, which translates as it's the best of these one in Japan. So the best kahaku that's in Japan. They changed it. They changed this thing so they're separate awards. They changed the name just to Shibetsu. So it's just like the best one. It lowers it in Japanese language, but they didn't change the translation. So it still says best in variety. We're talking about changing it. Sorry, that sounds a bit arrogant. We're talking about it. So it's the guys that, like the breeders, do ask me for an opinion as to what sounds good in English.
What translates better to?
Yeah, like I don't just give my opinion. I'll then say, okay, I'm going to go and talk to, like, as you guys know, I talk to you about this, and I talk to lots of other people to get a general opinion about what is the most reflect things accurately, because saying best in variety can be very confusing to people that don't understand the awards. So.
Yeah, because it sounds like this is the best Kohaku that isn't the grand champion.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right?
But
yeah, that definitely could be confusing.
Potentially the Kohaku that wins the best in variety could be the 6th or 7th best Kohaku there.
So at that level where it's Sakura, Miyabi, and there's a couple other ones there.
Tsubaki, Botan, yeah.
Can you briefly explain what those different categories are?
Miyabi is Gosanke, so that's Kohaku, Sanke, Showa. Yeah. And then Sakura. No, Shiratsuri is in Sakura. It's Shiratsuri, Goshiki, and Kujaku. And then Ginrin A and Ginrin B. And then Kawarigoi.
That's
Tsubaki,
all Sakura.
Yes, that's all Sakura.
Wait, Shiratsuri's in there with Goshiki and Kujaku?
And Ginrin A and B.
Yes. And then
Are Hiyutsuri in
I'm
they're
gonna get
somewhere
to that.
else?
Yes, I will do Botan. Botan is Kiyutsuri and Hiyutsuri. It is Asagi and Shusui. It is Beko. And then it is Hikari Utsuri.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Hikari Muji. And Mujimono.
And Muji.
Yeah.
But
and then Tsubaki, could you please remind us?
You got Kabonryu, Deutz, Moyo, Koromo, and Tancho.
And the reason behind these groupings is what?
If
To
you
me,
ever find out,
exactly.
for me, it's to be more competitive at shows.
Yeah.
So that, like, all these varieties have an award to compete for, because otherwise they're competing for best in variety. They're trying to compete for Kokugyo or best in size, but that's never going to happen for the majority of those varieties. So at least it makes shows more fun and competitive for these other alternative varieties.
So they're trying to allow Asagi and Shusui to compete against each other. They're trying to allow, let's say, Beko to compete with an Asagi and a Shusui. Some of them are quite competitive, like Goshiki.
Sakura's really competitive.
Yeah, Goshiki and Kujaku and Shiratsuri, those compete really well.
Mm-hmm.
But then you add Ginrin into the mix, and all of the Ginrin in the same group, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for a good Ginrin B to compete against a Goshiki, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so Deutz was in a separate category from Ginrin. So what if you have one that's Deutz and Ginrin?
There are some rules that say one characteristic overtakes another one to go into this category. But there's also some flexibility with some of it that you could choose which category you want to put it into. So you would actually then have to be a little bit smart about where do you think that fish will compete best.
There was a fish that, I really liked. I asked Devin to come look at it. It did not win anything, like nothing.
Yeah, not even like Jungisho or
But
anything.
I remember being there and the judges were talking about, they were judging the fish and they were like really enjoying that fish because it was quite a beautiful fish. The problem was it's a Ginrin Budokoromo. It's a very difficult position to be competing in. Granted, it could have been a little bit fuller body too.
Still, it was beautiful.
It was a beautiful fish. I think the judges really enjoyed it as well. It just one of those fish that kind of fell between the cracks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a fish you don't see very often.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen one before. When she showed me it, I didn't know what to expect. But just as a Goromo, it was like one of the most beautiful Goromo I've ever seen. And it was Ginrin on top of that. So it was just quite a spectacular fish.
And when they're judging the fish, a lot of the times they have an assistant who turns off the air for the judges while they're judging, and they'll turn it back on after they've left. Obviously, these are fish that are in a competition. You want them to be in their best possible condition. I'm not going to go around turning off air just because I want to look at or film the fish, right? So I see them turn off the air and I'm like, oh my God, the air's off. I run over there while they're judging. They start talking about this fish. And they did a double take because is that Ginrin? Is it really Ginrin? It's like, oh, it is in Ginrin. Is it in Ginrin class? Oh, it is in Ginrin class, but they kept talking about how nice a fish it was. Yeah. And it's very rare for them, I think, to spend that much time on a fish because, like Steve said, there's a lot of fish that they have to judge.
What I love about the show is because you see you guys will have seen it. There's a lot of people in the trade that want to say they've been to the show, but don't really show any interest. So they kind of turn up on Saturday, wander in, take a little bit of movie of the Grand Champion and a few other fish at the front end, a few selfies to say, hey, look, I'm at the show in Tokyo. And then they go off and go visiting breeders. Whereas to me, the show's not long enough. I'm there from Tuesday till Sunday. Not long enough. Of course, the fish don't arrive till Thursday. But for me, 4 days of looking at those fish is not long enough because you can walk up and down. Once all the major awards have moved down to the front, you walk up and down those rows and see so many unique fish that, okay, they never got a top prize. They may well have still got first prize and they stayed in their vat, but there's so many unique fish.
I wish I had more time on Friday, when we're judging, to look at the fish, because I saw just a tiny little sliver of fish in the show. Just one size class is all I got to see pretty much that whole day. And Mickey's running around and saying, "Oh my God, you see this one? You see this one?" It's like, no, because we're just looking at this size class fish, judging it all day. But like, because it's tough too when you go on Saturday and stuff, because you just run into so many people you know and you get talking, and then it's impossible to look at the fish. It can be kind of overwhelming. But yeah, I wish it would be awesome, like Friday where nobody's there, just going through, actually being able to look at the fish undisturbed. And you would not be able to see everything.
It made a huge difference. I have never been able to see the fish more than when you get that, very peaceful, like opportunity.
Nobody's in there.
Yes. They're also in the best condition because it's Friday. The water is pristine. I just wanted to enjoy seeing them in their best condition. And it was such a treat, such a treat.
Devin, you said that you were only judging one size category.
Yeah.
Who's judging all the other size?
I was in size 55. So there's quite a few entries.
So everyone does grand champion and then they split off into subgroup sizes?
For the most part, we're one size class. And then we get together with other groups to decide like a division champion. So we did like adult champion in our grouping. And then also we team up and do like some of the best in variety awards and then like the Tsubaki champions and stuff like that.
They know in advance which judging groups need to judge which sizes. Because of course, as well as the 18 sizes, you've got the nine male sizes.
Yeah.
So
we had to do all the males first and then move on to the females. There were some fish, I don't know whether you have to bench it as male or not if you know it's male, but there were some fish that I think they just benched it in female even though they knew it was male just because they figured it's good enough it could win. But because
the males are eligible for different awards than the females.
Fish under 50 cm are just benched as unsexed, and above that size you've got either male or technically unsexed but female. As I understand it, you can enter a male into the unsexed category in the larger sizes and it can win the prizes.
Like there's less awards available for the male fish, I feel like, than there are for the females.
Yeah, like, I mean, the point would be that if you had a male that you thought maybe could win superior champion, not superior male champion, but superior champion, would you put that fish into the uncategorized to try and get superior champion overall? Because obviously winning that with a male fish is a huge achievement. What I was trying to clarify with them was if, for example, there was an outstanding 85 boo male kahaku, could that potentially win the uncategorized group? And as I understand it, it can only win the male, but asking a couple of people, there's
gray area,
a little bit of doubt. I would never want to sort of go on camera and say, no, that can't happen, because I don't truly know the answer to that question.
If you win a division champion, like a superior champion is higher award than superior male champion. Technically not, but everybody sees it that way.
I would say
everyone's going to see it.
It's harder to win a superior champion than it would be to win a superior male champion because there's going to be a lot less entries in the male division.
I see what you're saying. So even if they technically allow female to compete in that division, if you win that because there's a bigger pool, then it is more prestigious, even if they're technically the same level.
I guess you are competing against better fish, yeah. There was a situation a few years ago where someone was trying to compare, it was basically a customer trying to promote the dealer, and he made a post on Facebook trying to say like, well, this fish won the 55 boo Kokugyo male against another fish that had won the 55 boo Kokugyo. And I kind of looked at it and thought, no, this needs some clarification. So I actually broke down for him how the female fish had got to that prize and the volume of fish it had beaten compared to the male version. And it was just a different league. You know, the steps that the female had to go through, whereas the male would just beat two other fish that had been entered, you know.
This sounds like real life, Steve.
What?
How many steps the females have to go through just to be able to compete with
Yeah. And koi rated.
Koi is a good analogy for life.
Yep.
So
It almost feels like they're trying to give males a good chance at winning because they're just always not, even if they're big. As
Well, so
opposed
it's
to
quite fantastic. Yeah, there's some.
Well, like that one you were filming, that male sanke, that thing was beautiful.
Does
that
it
was.
one of the major awards?
No, I don't think it did.
Because like a fish that stands out to me from all those fish at the show is the super male champion. Like if I could take a fish home, that'd be my instant choice to be up that fish. And that fish has won, like it's gone through 3 different categories of major awards over the past 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So yes, it's gone like adult male champion, mature male champion, superior male champion.
Wow.
Yes, yeah. It
That's
still looks amazing.
incredible because it's really hard for a fish to keep moving up and still be the best. It usually doesn't happen. That's amazing.
It's an awesome fish. And you look at it and it just looks so great. Its fins are slightly too big because it's male. Or I say too big, slightly bigger than if it was a female-ish. But other than that, the fish is perfect. And you look at it and think that's such an easy fish to take care of. Yeah, that fish is going to last longer and look good for ages. If you literally said to me, right, your pond at home, you can have the grand champion or you can have that male sanke, I'd take the male sanke. I honestly can't think, bear in mind, I've been visiting that show since 2006, I think, so 23 years. I honestly can't think of a year where the grand champion was my favourite fish.
And it's not because it's not beautiful.
No, I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
not the best fish. It just wasn't my favourite fish. You remember like all the hype around golden corn and everything? When the very first golden corn fish was exhibited, the like famous one that was all bright yellow, beginning, that never moved to the front. It was over in just one of the tanks.
Huh.
Really? I think your favorite sanke didn't move to the front, but it did win first place. The sanke that you're talking about, the male one.
Yeah, it won first place.
Yeah, but
it didn't win like any major.
But this prize is an awesome prize to win because that's one thing we haven't really talked about yet. It's like the first, second, third prizes, yeah. But I think a lot of people don't understand that well because you've obviously only ever got one first prize.
Explain this because this has always been confusing to me. The whole idea of your fish can win first, but that's still not that high up in the prizes that fish can win.
The first place is called Yusho champion winner. The second place is called Yusho Jiseki, and the third place is called Junsho. Both Yusho Jiseki and Junyusho translate as second place or runner up. Both of those titles mean it's effectively the same thing, which is why a Japanese person would not understand which way round to put those if they didn't understand the actual koi itself. But effectively, we translate it as first, second, third. But so if you imagine you have a standard 30 centimeter ruler, you stood it on end. So first place is at the 30 cm, second place is at 15 cm, and bottom is at the 0 cm. The third place is at 0 cm. That's how we would naturally think first, second, third. But it doesn't work like that. The second prize is much higher than that middle. So the second prize is the Jiseki prize. Is like you almost won. You didn't quite win. So it would kind of go up to probably the 20 to 20, nearer the 25 cm on that ruler.
Yeah.
So first being 30 cm, second Jiseki being 25 cm, but I would still say at 0 cm. So it's not pushing the value of third down, it's moving the value of second up. It was so much easier to understand in the old days before KHV and when they had to put every fish in separate vats. Because techie fish, like back before 2003, fish weren't put in separate pools based on the owner, where they come from. Fish were put all in the same pool, depending on which size they were entering. So you were judging, for example, all 45 ukahaku would be in one pool together and the judges would judge there. So when the winners were moved, there was actually a second prize for Joseki pool at the front, and all the Joseki fish would go into that. But then the third prize, the Jinyusho, would still stay in their tanks. So that it was far more meaningful. People could understand it because those fish were good enough that they'd been moved into a special tank together. Whereas now, people are just reading a certificate that has kanji on it. People can't even tell which, and then they use their smartphone and it just says runner up. And it's a really difficult thing to understand, which is frustrating because a Joseki prize is a really, really good prize. You know?
What we need to do is we need to make a T-shirt that with the ruler thing and be like,
yeah. You mentioned the KHP and how that changed a lot in terms of like All Japan show. And it's been a while now. Judging all the fish in the pool, it's like seeing a koi show different than the way it's been done for the past.
I've never actually experienced that.
Right?
Did you see the shows?
I haven't either.
Okay. I didn't even realize they moved the Jiseki to like a separate pool, or even the U shows to a separate pool for that matter.
Yeah, my dad was able to experience that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think my brother was there too. That feels like a lifetime ago when they would share pool.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it.
It's almost like it's almost anxiety inducing for me to think about the biosecurity of that, because now the biosecurity at this show is pretty, like, there are a lot of things that you miss. They don't show it. They don't show how incredible the biosecurity is at this show.
Well, it's impressive, like the entryway, people walk in, they're constantly dumping like that foot disinfectant stuff on that rug that you walk over.
Mm-hmm. They're constantly disinfecting your shoes, so the All Japan show has the cleanest shoes in the world. Also, when they're moving the champions or the runner-ups or whatever, the team, the green jackets, right? They're the ones,
orange jackets.
No, the green jackets are moving it, but the orange jackets are assisting. And what they're doing is when those fish are bagged and they're lifted, the orange jackets then sanitize the bag and then wipe it, and then they follow just to make sure it doesn't splash. All of them are carrying the bag really low, so there's no splash, and they put it in the new vat, very carefully remove the bag to avoid the splash, and then there's the orange jacket, like right there, already spraying their hands, everything. And the biosecurity, you don't see how much care is given to keep everything separate.
Yeah.
I caught it on camera because I was so impressed.
Biosecurity and the healthcare.
Yes, the healthcare.
Because like the green jacket guys are assistants so they assist with the, like, judges go around, turn the air off and things. The orange jacket guys are the health team. They take care of the water and the fish themselves. So they're constantly checking the fish day and night, 24 hours throughout that show, and testing the water as well. People think they don't test the water, they do. And any problems, they tend to have to deal with it generally with salt, because obviously there's no facility for water changing there. But the chemistry of their water, that works fine. You never see a problem with water that they can't overcome.
I did see something though.
Yeah.
There was a fish that didn't look so hot during the Friday. Still was showing perfectly, right? Like skin didn't look stressed at all, so it competed quite well and won a pretty good prize. But it looked like it was experiencing some cold shock, because it was cold. It was very cold this year.
And to be fair, it was right by the doors.
It was right by the doors as well. So it looked like it was experiencing some cold shock.
Swimming around kind of like drunk, and it was like rocking back and forth, all weird.
And then I was surprised on Saturday when I stopped by that tank, it had a little heater set up in there. And I'm pretty sure they put salt, because it was like,
the fish looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked phenomenal. So I was very impressed to see that, there was a heater. They have all these things there, ready to go. So, and you don't even see the heater. If you didn't know what it was, it never got in the way. There's no like big sign like, oh, this fish isn't, like, they still made sure that it was still there ready for people to enjoy.
My understanding of koi shows on the technical side is pretty limited. But this is a Shinkokai show, the All Japan Koi show, right? but there's also the ZNA as well. From what I understand, there are things that are done differently in how a Shinkokai show is judged versus a ZNA show. Do I understand that right? Or
technically, they should be judged the same. Practically, I think they're judged very differently. Professionals see koi in a totally different way to amateurs. By amateurs, I just mean non-professional. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean non-professional, people that aren't involved in it daily as a business. Breeders are looking at fish, thousands and thousands of fish every day of the year. 7 days a week. They're just seeing fish either at their own farm or when they visit other farms. And over the years, they're just seeing so many. Whereas, your non-professional guys have got a very limited number of fish that they're able to see a year. But our Inkai judges, you see, they make an effort to really try and attend as many shows as possible, widen their knowledge. A lot of them come to the All Japan Koi show, not only to see the fish, but to participate in seminars. But their exposure to fish is just such a fraction of the professionals. And I think you can see in the judging that difference.
So on the professionals, we'll definitely see a lot more fish than amateurs. However, the amateurs will have different motivations when they're judging fish than professionals do. So there are pros and cons.
Something I was going to mention is that there's some partiality things going on a little bit. When
motivations are definitely different.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Spell it out, because I don't know what you're talking about.
So you know how you were asking about why are there so many fish that were nominated, but only 3 really made it to the end?
So there's politics
they might...
in more.
Yes.
So you're talking about politics. Okay, so that's
yes.
You're saying there's more in the Shinkokai show and less in the ZNA show then?
There are different politics in the Shinkokai and there are different politics in the ZNA. I wouldn't say more or less because they have just as much. They have just as much politics.
So what would be the different motivations then?
My friends versus I'm going to make money off of this.
Okay.
Would be the biggest
thing. That would be probably one of the most obvious ones.
So who are the judges for ZNA? Where are they pulling these people from?
Oh, all over. Like there's
all over the
judges all over Japan. There's judges all over the US.
Because Shinkokai, they're all professionals, right? So they can just pull in hobbyists to be judges on a ZNA show?
No, you have to apply for it.
Like anywhere there's a like ZNA chapter Koi club, they can like then have a judging program where somebody's going, I want to decide I want to be a judge, and then they get like, I don't know how they do it, but like, they level up and all that.
A while back, I went online and I found one of their like little tests that you can do. And, like an entry level, like, so you're thinking about, becoming a koi judge or something. I thought it'd be fun just to try to do the test. There were so many questions there. I was like, I don't know that many names for Ginrin, right? Like
one that really demonstrated the difference between the Irinkai judges and the Shinkokai judges this year is standing by the grand champion bat, and the jumbo division champion is right next to it. So you've got the 2 Kahaku. Pretty much every non-professional judge I spoke to could not understand why the jumbo division champion Kahaku didn't win. Whereas pretty much every professional judge I spoke to thought that the right fish was the grand champion. So the divide between those 2 groups of people was probably the most clear I've ever seen it this year. And it's quite interesting to see.
Can you explain what it was that the professionals were seeing in the grand champion that made it the winner?
I don't know what they're saying, but for my personal opinion, the skin on it was so crisp. It was bright. It was youthful. The beni was also very deep and even all over. It was flawless beni, flawless skin quality, and the body was just so proportioned.
To me, like the biggest thing was the difference in skin quality. Like the fish that won GC just was like outstanding, perfect skin. I'm sure it wasn't like as big or full of body, but the body conformation was good. It wasn't bad. to their eyes, I think they see as it's not as big, so it's not as good. And that's what I would say probably the biggest factor.
Yeah, my experience of what I've seen of how like the hobbyist organizations, how they teach, is kind of very much right, you have to give 60% to, as an example, to body size and 10% to pattern or something. And I think a lot of people try and follow that as a rule.
You look at it too, like the fish that won Jumbo Award, the pattern on that fish is so much more like classically, like
that's true. It's a very
desired
classic pattern
than the pattern that the Dainichi fish had, which was kind of a unique, odd pattern. And that might have played into it.
But personally, I do prefer the sleeker, not thin, but more even
but
body
elegant rather than
not obese looking ones.
According to the chart that we had before, everything's obese, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Steve, I got a body score conditioning chart from my aquatic vet for koi fish. And when you look at the chart, you know, like from emaciated to like good body conditioning to obese, every good bodied koi you would see at a show is obese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a similar chart from my doctor on human bodies. So I totally disagree with them.
I think I can say the same. My doctor has that same bullshit chart.
I kind of made it sound a little bit like, well, the amateurs pick that fish and pick that fish, and there's this big divide. But we've got to remember that 26 people of the Shinkokai voted for that, the second Kayaku to be grand champion. So it's not a very clear divide. I just think it's a trend.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do think there's one other thing I've noticed as well with, between the Irinkai style and Shinkokai. If you think about the rounds of the grand champion works, so in this case, you had the 3 fish that moved forward and 6 other fish were taken out. So what you would expect to happen in the second round is all of the people that voted for those 3 fish would vote for those 3 fish again. And then the number of votes would change based on the remaining judge that their selections had disappeared. So you would expect each of those numbers of votes to stay the same or increase, which happens in a Shinkokai show. At an Irinkai show, I've seen it before where in the second round, one of the fish that's moved forward, their number of votes has decreased. The number of votes for another fish has increased. Because the Irinkai do it in a much more transparent way. As the votes are being counted, they put like discs up on a board so all the judges can see. And I think sometimes the judges, it's just an assumption, but I think sometimes they don't believe in themselves. You do see that in Irinkai, that people, I guess, feel a little bit pressured or
also
don't
it's a
trust that they
learning.
need to.
It's a learning society. Yeah. And that's part of the learning process, is to be able to be flexible. If you're in Shinkokai, if you're a professional, I'm not saying you have to be stubborn or hard-headed, but you have to believe in what you're saying enough to be able to share the knowledge with any authority.
Or at least share what your thoughts were so people can understand your thinking.
Exactly.
Because it's very rare. Okay, maybe a small show where you've got 2 or 3 judges, everyone might be of the same opinion. If you look at the bigger shows, Japan, where you have like 20 judges, 30 judges, 80 judges, you never see a vote where everybody votes for the same fish. Even in like the smaller voting that you're doing, where you're voting for size 3 Kayaku, you don't have a situation where all the time everyone's going around going, yeah, that one, and 7 hands go up. Generally, you'll have maybe 3, 4 people vote one fish, one person will vote for another one, 2 or 3.
When I'm following the judges doing the vote of the hands, there are many times when one person would vote for one fish and everyone else would vote for a different one, or 2 people would have a different vote. It's pretty common. People think that it's an absolute truth which fish is the best, but
everybody has their own like little biases too, like what they like about each variety or what they're looking for.
Exactly.
So it's going to be different.
I think we've covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
None of our listeners everybody's going to be like, what just happened?
Yeah. Head explodes. What the hell were they going on about?
I mean, that only happened to me like 3 times, so I think we'll be all right.
When you spend 20 odd years watching judging, you start to find things just to keep your interest.
Steve has no opinions. He's the worst guest ever.
I'm sorry. I'll get off the fence.
On that note, shall we end this with a prayer? Please, Lord, let our listeners still be listening and be awake after this episode is done.
All right. Dear Koi, grant me the serenity to accept the sue me I cannot change, the courage to choose my Koi, and the wisdom to remember to turn off the hose. Amen.
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 Steve, you have
it.
no idea what's going on, huh?
It's like, why are we praying? What are we praying to?
Who are these guys?
You've obviously never heard a single episode. This will probably be the first episode you'll ever listen to.
Have I been caught out now?
Yeah,
I watch your podcast every week. Yeah.
Thanks
Well,
for
thank
joining
you for
us.
listening.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Steve.
See you soon, guys.
Bye.